Republican state lawmakers introduced 7 different bills this week addressing the gun control laws passed in 2013. 5 of them were quickly killed in a House committee vote, while 2 were passed in a Senate committee, although few believe that either of the Senate measures will survive getting to the House and through the House. David, you, as always, you've been an expert witness both in the federal and the state level when it comes to laws like this. Were any of these proposed to really address the laws in either repealing, or was this a statement Republicans were making?
Well, it was a statement that Speaker Hollinghorst was making when she said sent every bill to the State Affairs Committee, which is typically where you send minority bills to be killed, because the State Affairs Committee is composed of majority party members from safe districts who don't have to care about public opinion or anything. These were bills that clearly would have most of them the support to pass on the floor of the House. So it is really only Speaker Hollinghorst and her sending things to State Affairs which is preventing the legislature from passing some of these and sending them to the governor. And some of them, I think, are obvious common sense. For example, one that got killed was to say that if you are a place of public accommodation and you allow licensed, trained people with a concealed carry permit to carry on your property, you can't be sued for that. So that would take away some of the fear that, that ultimately helped cause the Aurora Theater shooting, where licenses, who knows what could happen, we don't want to get sued, so the most protective thing is just to prohibit everything at all times. This wouldn't change the law about who can carry. It would just provide, it was endorsed by the National Federation of Independent Businesses, just to provide businesses some legal protection for doing the right thing and allowing lawful carry. And even that got killed 6-5.
Eric, among these issues, it seems there is some room for compromise. I think because even from conversations with Governor Hickenlooper, the magazine limit is 1. It's currently at 15, but if that were to be maybe expanded to 20 or 30, there's probably room at least for conversation. But because these seem pretty, at least in my estimation, and I respect where David's coming from, to not be looking for that kind of compromise, just throw it out there, it's a big week and then it's over with, it seemed like a checkoff list for Republicans. Am I being short-sighted?
No, I think it's a checkoff list for both parties. Democrats want to preserve what they did in 2013. They don't want to acknowledge that it was an overreach if it was. They don't really want to revisit the history of the recalls and everything that ensued. For Republicans, it's certainly a checkoff list of trying to redress their grievances from 2013. If 2013, I consider it maybe a session of more action than thought, particularly around this issue, particularly around the magazine ban issue. This session strikes me as one of more noise than action. I think there's going to be a lot of noise on both sides, but you have sort of mutually assured destruction given the split legislature. Senate bills get killed in the House bills get killed in the Senate, and then to David's point, obviously if the Speaker wants a bill killed, you're not going to put it on the floor where who knows what happens to it. You're going to get rid of it in committee, and that seems to be what happened to these bills. If there's going to be any compromise, it's likely to be around the magazine ban, the magazine capacity issue, and I wouldn't bet on that one.
Natasha, at least at the state legislature level, is this done once, maybe after next week, once we see what the Senate bills happen, but are we going to hear anything more about the gun control laws for the rest of the session?
I think we'll keep hearing whether actual movement is being done on it or not. I mean, this is such an important topic to Coloradans. It'll just always be part of the news cycle, whether there's a bill being debated or not. I would say that, perhaps when it comes to gun control, we should write those bills not in permanent ink, but on a dry erase board, because I think this is going to be an issue every session. I mean, since 2013, certainly before that as well, but since 2013, it's just been a regular refrain. And I think every year we're going to keep on addressing these. Now, who's in power? What gets shifted, what gets slightly changed, that's going to be but Coloradans just have to get used to this. It will be part of the news for a very long time.
Patty, whether it's this session or even next year, does a Democratic House, even with a thin majority, ever send significant changes to these laws to Governor Hickenlooper?
I think it's possible, and the magazine bill was an example of that, because even Hickenlooper had said he didn't have all the facts when he originally approved it. although he didn't quite say it that way. And so I think we could have seen a compromise on that. We've lost Magpul, but we could have seen a compromise on magazines. I think we will not see a really reasonable bill come forward again unless we have, unfortunately, a fresh motive for it. So we are still hearing the testimony of parents from Columbine in the State House over this. If we have another Aurora shooting type thing, we will see more bills come up. So as Natasha's right, this topic is never going away, but we will begin talking about it more reasonably, I hope.